Face it, boys learn differently than girls, and that's okay. It's written by Christopher J. Post from the Baltimore Sun. International studies have long shown that the achievement of girls outpaces boys in English, reading, and language performance. The achievement of girls also now surpasses boys in science and math, according to a University of Missouri study. Boys do outpace their female counterparts in some areas, however. For instance, boys are far more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD. They're also far more likely to be disciplined, to serve detentions or suspensions, and to be expelled from schools. Why is this the case? Traditionally, schools fail to recognize the conditions that account for and exacerbate the achievement gap between girls and boys, thus impeding the full development of boys' intellectual and emotional potential. Consequently, we are producing a whole generation of disengaged boys, robust interior life, who are unwilling or unable to grapple with the full dimension of emotional connectedness. Through Wednesday, more than 600 educators from all over the world will assemble here in Baltimore for the annual conference of the International Boys Schools Coalition to understand what's best for boys. How can we create environments in which boys can flourish, pushing beyond innovation and inspiring creativity, discovery, and engagement? One of the most eagerly anticipated speakers will be former Baltimore Colts lineman Joe Ehrmann, who after his Pro Bowl career went on to be a pastor, motivational speaker, coach at Gilman School, and powerful advocate for improving the way boys are raised. Mr. Ehrmann likes to say that the three most dangerous words to say to a boy are "be a man." Throughout our culture and across time, masculinity's highest accolades have been celebrations of violent strength. Too often, masculinity is associated with the absence of emotional connectedness. Too often, masculinity applauds the wearing of a mask, a social facade, instead of cherishing the deep formation of deep personal relationships. In short, society has come to encourage, if not expect, that boys will grow up to be men devoid of emotional depth, men who are merely hollow shells of themselves. But it doesn't have to be that way. As headmaster of one of our nation's oldest all-boys schools, I've seen firsthand how we as educators can do this better. I've seen how we can promote better academic performance among boys while supporting their whole growth as persons. Doing so starts with acknowledging a simple fact. Boys learn differently from girls. They just do. It's something we should embrace, not shy away from. At schools like mine, we embrace boys and their unique strengths by creating a sense of agency in their lives. Boys must come to see learning and acquisition of knowledge as the ultimate path to personal empowerment and the best way to ensure that they can control and shape their futures. Emphasizing context and practical applications. Boys appreciate seeing application of information to their lives. Boys want to know the whys behind lessons, not just the hows. Recognizing competition as a source of strength. Boys are innately competitive, and there's no better way to teach about the values of humility, respect, and teamwork. Teaching these valuable life lessons can ensure that our boys are ready for the collaboration and connectedness of the 21st century. Seeking out opportunities to connect action to empathy and altruism. By helping boys adopt a broader view of manhood, expanding the definition of masculinity to the one that ennobles duty and service to others, we can help boys lead more fulfilling and personal and professional lives. Based on my 25 years of experience as an educator, I firmly believe these pillars upon which to raise high-performing, emotionally engaged young men. I believe that an all-boys approach is the best way to ensure that this occurs. Single-sex education has long shown to benefit both young women and young men. The emergences of Baltimore charter schools like Lily Mae Carroll Jackson School for Girls and Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys speaks to the power of this work and the transformational impact it can have in the Baltimore community. Perhaps it's time to consider adopting it more widely. Christopher J. Post is headmaster at the Boys Latin School of Maryland in Baltimore, in conjunction with Gilman School and the St. Paul School for Boys. Boys Latin will host the annual conference of the International Boys School Coalition through June 28th. And that is from the Baltimore Sun. I've long been an advocate of an all boys school. I think, especially for black boys, that there should be a single sex education. It's in a female dominated educational system, in a gynocratic social system that black boys live in. They need a separate space. They need their own schools. They need to be away from women. You need a school that has at least 50% men. They've long known that it takes men to teach boys, especially if you're going to have something similar to a top-down Prussian school system. If you want to socialize boys to act like women, then you put women in front of the classroom. If you want boys to act like men, you need men in front of the classroom. You need a manly symbol to be in front of that classroom teaching boys. Just like I do believe the Baltimore School for Boys actually works on a different model where it's more activity, a little bit more competition, less sitting down in seats because boys like to move around, because especially young boys, they have plenty of energy. They don't like sitting. Sitting in front of the classroom quiet, that's a girl's activity. Girls are receptive, boys are active. And they've known since the early 20th century that the Prussian school system with women in front of the classroom feminizes boys. They said that a long time ago. If you want boys to act like little girls, then you mold the Prussian school system to fit women. It's not going to work for boys. And that's how come boys are failing. Boys are failing in classroom because they're disconnected. Every boys' school that they've separated the boys out from the girls has worked. But feminists do not like letting go of the boys, because if you let go of the boys, you lose control of the men, and they want control of the men. Women want sovereignty over men, and if they can get the boys early so that men and boys actually listen to and take direction from women, they can have control over them. That's how come they don't want men separated from women. That's how come they always want women in men's spaces, so women can have some kind of influence. That's how come you have women in putting money into the NBA, the NFL, baseball. They don't like the separation between them and their husbands, them and their boyfriends. That is a feminist mind thinking. They want men to be part of the collective, the Borg-Hyde mind. But I encourage this. Eventually, if you want high performing boys, you're going to have to get rid of the women in the classroom. I would like to see 100% men in the classroom and 100% men over boys' schools. It'd probably be more beneficial to separate girls from boys. That will eliminate most of your teen pregnancy. Most of the girls might actually get to be 18, 19, and 20 as virgins if you do that, which is something that women would actually like. There would be less sexual violence. There'll be less sexual assault because you won't be mixing boys and girls. What they found out, women do not like environments where they're all women. You take colleges, women don't like all girl colleges. They don't want to go to a college where there's not a decent mix of men. But it's probably better as far as educational wise to actually separate boys and girls, at least up to I would say at least up to high school, and probably they shouldn't even meet till they're in college. But especially for black boys, I think they should. I think all black boys should be taught separately. Black women are detrimental to the education of black boys. I just believe that's true. And it's been proven in many, many cases to be true. Separate the boys from the girls and they're going to get better boys. Separate black boys from black girls, and especially white women in the classroom. I think you're going to get a better outcome as far as black boys. And we need all the educated, fully formed black boys and black men we can get. But with that, I'm going to bounce out of here. This is BGS out.